Just tell me a little bit how you're feeling right now with the news that just came out of over Hipke's death.
Upon hearing about it yesterday, a flood of emotions. I feel like just, yet something else was taken away from us, from being able to actually face him and read our impact statement. I have to say, I do feel bad for the family, but according to when I asked my son, how do you feel, about this? And a direct quote, I have no remorse. I'm just glad he's off the street where he can't do it to someone else. So, can't fault him for that.
And then if you can talk about this, how's your son doing?
It's with us every day, from extensive counseling to, anxiety. He's worked through so many issues, and I'm super proud, but it's a continual process. And he's made some great accomplishments, but it's still a long road.
You mentioned it's a long road. It's been a process so far. How's the journey been for you and your family up until this point?
A whirlwind, roller coaster. As a parent, you beat yourself up. I have to go to counseling myself and work through issues. I just felt like I failed him as a parent. He, I think, might be handling it a little bit better than Mom. Maybe that's just because he doesn't want me to worry, but it's just, I kind of feel thankful for the closure. Again, I do feel bad for his family, but I'm kind of angry. You took something else from me, not being able to, face him and tell him just exactly, how he has hurt us, because those are wounds that don't go away, won't ever go away, and will always be playing in the back of your head. So,
you mentioned this is, I guess, in a way, some sort of closure for you, but there's also something empty, missing. Is it justice, or is that still lacking for you?
Justice, no, but also, laws should be changed. The whole time, since this first started up till now, he's been a free man, able to walk around, and interact with other people. And on a daily basis, I was like, is he out there where he can hurt someone else? I don't want another family to go through what we have. And there have been several families going through this currently, and just like us for the rest of our lives. So,
have you heard from any of the other families that have been affected on this?
I have not reached out. They really kind of tried to keep us all, separate through the ongoing, investigation and everything. But along the way, you do interact. I'm just going to let them have their own closure on it. And I'm thankful that, in a sense, this part of the journey's over. I'm just ready to continue healing from it.
Do you mind if I step in?
Yeah.
Some things I have. Whatever. You're right. There's, for those that I guess don't know, like you were kind of touching on, there's that point when after everything's over with, victims of the crime can kind of like speak their mind, say their impact statement, whatever they want to. Do you, if you can recall, or do you remember, like, what are some of the things you would have said to him? And you can take your time.
Actually, he had no idea just how this impacts. It's a domino effect, and how bad it hurts. It hurts me as a parent. It hurts my child. It hurts my family. I recently lost my mom, who was extremely close to my son, and she didn't get to see justice. And I honestly feel like we're not getting ours. But at least I know when I lay my head down that he's not going to do it to another child. So that's basically in a nutshell. I mean, words can't really describe all the emotions you feel. I mean, upon hearing about it, I didn't even know why, but I just started crying. I was just like, I don't know if it was tears from just a release of, this part of this journey is over, but in the same sense, anger. I wanted to face him. I wanted to let him know, and really, how dare you hurt not just my child, any child in general. You take them somewhere where they're supposed to trust this adult, and they took advantage of it. And so I'm just thankful it's over.
Yeah, a doctor or someone there's certain authority figures you expect to
Right.
trust.
Right. And, there's been comments, that people make, like on Facebook and everything. Well, I would do this, and if it happened to me, well, until you're in my shoes or any other parent's shoes, you have no idea, how you're going to react, and just how much it affects you, from constant anxiety, depression. There's physical aspects, mental aspects that not only the victim, but, the families have to work through as well. So,
And you did talk about this a little bit, but he's been pretty much out of jail for at least he's spent a little bit of time in jail, but gets out and has been out for consistently 3 years.
yes.
Could you how does that feel? What could have been done?
It felt like he had more rights than the actual victims. Being able to go about his life, potential to hurt someone else. I think laws need to change. I mean, people that have committed lesser crimes just because they didn't have the money or, the capacity to bail themselves out are still locked up. And just like I said, for lesser crimes that didn't harm children and affect, in essence, the rest of their life. So I just think that our judicial system really needs an overhaul, and, there needs to be new laws in place.
And I don't think any family wants to be a part of this group of to be a victim of anything, to have this happen to their child. But for those that may be out there in a similar situation, or this could happen to in the future, what would you say to maybe a fellow family member or some other family member?
First of all, I'd hate to even imagine, anyone else going through this. I don't wish this on my worst enemy. Be gracious to yourself. Know that if it happens to you, it's not your fault. It's just something that happened to you. It doesn't define you. And just, you can work through this. You can get through this. Just reach out to all the avenues and resources that are out there. And I have a firm walk with God, and that has helped tremendously. More so, because any parent wants, vengeance, but I had to remember vengeance is not, saith the Lord. And that's something I had to repeat to myself numerous times. Because your first instinct, mama bear syndrome had it. I have that, times 10. And just knowing you don't even want to see your kid, get their knee scraped. And for something like this, of this capacity to happen, there are no words. No words.
And I believe you were a part of the family too. There's several lawsuits, and there's some confidentiality there. But how was that in any way, I don't know, right words, helpful, or that was resolved, or?
No, glad it's, resolved, but to say the least, it was more so like a slap in the face, because when you take the final judgment amount, you divide that between the families, and then each family has their own attorney who gets 40% out of that. What's left for the actual victims, it's more so a joke. It really wasn't any kind of healing. To put it lightly, I'm just thankful that maybe we can start a new chapter, minus Hipke being around. So
Yeah, I think that you pretty much answered my next question of, what's next for you and your family.
continue, leaning on each other. I think he tells me all the time, thank you for, being there for me, but my son's been there for me just as much as I have, and, we're healing together, so we'll continue doing that, and I guess that's about it.
Yeah. We always like to ask, as like a general final question, is there anything else that, out of all these questions, is there anything you feel like we've missed or you just want to say about the situation?
I honestly wish that he would have had to endure his fate that was coming to him, and honestly live each day knowing and living with what he did, and all the potential factors that could have happened to him, while incarcerated. But and just like I said, my son, I asked him, I said, what's one thing you would like for me to say for you? How do you feel about this? He said, I have no remorse. I'm just glad he's off the street, so he can't do it to anyone else. So